The day I lost my job, my wife laughed in my kitchen. I stood there holding a cardboard box while she joked about new energy. Then my grandson handed me a drawing of another man in my chair. That's when I stopped reacting and started reclaiming my seat. Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and let us know where you're listening from in the comments. My name is Frank. I'm 66 years old, and this is what really happened. The garage door complained like an old dog with bad hips. It rattled up, slow and stubborn, and the sound followed me inside my own chest. My hands stayed locked on the steering wheel because letting go felt dangerous. On the passenger seat sat a cardboard box from the office. It had my 25-year service plaque, a dented company mug, and my badge clipped to flannel. Thus every turn signal clicked like a metronome counting down what I'd lost. I hadn't even shut off the engine when I heard it. My wife's laughter. Not warm, not surprised, not worried. Light, dismissive, almost relieved, drifting out from the kitchen window. I stepped onto the driveway, and the gravel popped under my shoes. The neighbor's leaf blower screamed 2 houses down, steady as a siren. I opened the front door, and my wife's laugh sharpened, like she'd been saving it. Linda stood at the counter with her phone in one hand and a glass of iced tea in the other. The TV was on low, some daytime talk show murmuring in the background. She looked up once, saw the box, and didn't bother hiding her smile. Linda. What's that supposed to be? Me. It's my stuff. I carried the box in and set it on the dining table. The service plaque slid, then caught on the wood with a dry scrape. That sound felt like a period at the end of a sentence I didn't write. She sipped her tea like we were watching weather updates. Then she laughed again, louder this time, and shook her head. Linda. Oh, Frank. They finally did it. I didn't answer. I just stared at the badge, at my own photo smiling back like a fool. The kitchen clock ticked too loud, like it had opinions. 2 hours earlier, I'd been sitting in a windowless conference room at O'Hare Logistics. Fluorescent lights hummed above me, steady and indifferent. HR slid a folder across the table with the kind of care you use for ashes. HR rep. This is a reduction in force. Manager. It's not personal, Frank. It's restructuring. Restructuring. That word is a clean suit over a dirty decision. They handed me a severance packet, a printed checklist, and a smile that never reached their eyes. I kept my voice even. I asked about my 401k match. I asked about the stock options I'd earned back when the company went public. My manager blinked like I'd spoken another language. Manager. Most people don't get into that. Most people don't read the fine print. Most people also don't expect their wife to laugh when they come home unemployed. Linda leaned on the counter and scrolled her phone, thumb moving fast. Her screen lit her face a pale blue. She wasn't texting our daughter. I could tell that much. Linda. So what now? You going to mope around here? Me. I'm going to figure it out. Linda. At your age? Frank, please? That last word hit me harder than the layoff. Please. Like I was embarrassing her by still believing I mattered. And I looked past her into the living room. Our family photos sat on the mantel, lined up like witnesses. One was from last Thanksgiving in Chicago, my grandson Caleb on my knee, holding a plastic turkey. Another was from a July 4th cookout, me flipping burgers while Linda posed in a red, white, blue apron like a magazine cover. Those pictures didn't show the quiet math happening behind Linda's eyes. They didn't show her measuring me by a paycheck. I lifted the severance folder and set it on the table. It made a soft thud, polite and final. Linda finally glanced at the cover page. Linda, how much are they giving you? Me, enough. Linda, that's not an answer. I could have told her the number. I could have begged for sympathy. Instead, I listened. Because laughter like hers doesn't come from nowhere. It comes from practice. Linda's phone buzzed again. She tilted it away from me without thinking, a small reflex. Then she caught herself and forced a casual shrug. Linda, Donna wants to know if we're still meeting tomorrow. Me. Donna from your book club? Linda. Yes, Donna. You remember. The one with the lake house. I remembered Donna. I remembered how Linda always came home from those book club nights smelling like strong perfume and expensive candle smoke. I remembered the way she'd started talking about fresh starts and simplifying right after New Year's. She set her glass down and crossed her arms. There was a new energy in her stance, like she'd been waiting for this day. Linda, maybe this is a sign. Me. A sign of what? Linda, that you should stop trying to prove something. Prove something. After decades of early shifts, overtime, and missing my own prom chaperone duty for our daughter's dance, I'd proven plenty, just not to her. I nodded once, slow, like I was agreeing, but I wasn't. I was freezing myself on purpose, the way you stop bleeding by pressing hard. A man who reacts gives away power. A man who watches collects it. I walked past her and into my small office off the hallway. It used to be a guest room before Caleb was born. Now it held my filing cabinet, my old Dell laptop, and a fireproof safe bolted to the floor. The safe was something Linda hated. She called it dramatic. I called it prepared. Inside were papers that told the truth, even when people didn't. The house deed from before our marriage, my dad's will, and the county-stamped document I'd filed years ago when my brother tried to get cute about property lines. Cook County Clerk's Office Record, County Court Record number 2025-CV-11873, signed by Notary Public Dana R. Morales, stamp inked so deep it looked like a bruise. Paper doesn't laugh. Paper just waits. I didn't open the safe yet. I only touched the metal dial with my fingertips, feeling the ridges. The house was quiet behind me except for the TV murmuring and Linda moving dishes like she was cleaning up a mess I'd made. Then I heard her voice, softer. Not to me. Linda. He's home. Yeah. It happened. Linda. No, he doesn't know yet. I stopped breathing for a second. My hand stayed on the safe dial. My phone was in my pocket, and I didn't think. I tapped the side button twice and started a voice memo. The microphone icon glowed on my screen. Red dot. Recording. Linda's voice floated down the hallway, casual and careless. Where's Linda? I told you he'd be out by spring. Linda, we just have to get him to agree to sell. Sell, not downsize. Sell. The word landed like a weight, like she'd already packed the boxes in her head. I didn't move. I didn't make a sound. I let the recording run while my own house taught me what my marriage had become. Then Linda appeared at the doorway, wiping her hands on a dish towel. She looked at my phone, then at my face. Her smile thinned. Linda, are you hiding in here now? Me. I'm thinking. Linda, well, maybe this is for the best. Well, maybe this is for the best. Her words carried the sour, sweet smell of lemon cleaner and old resentment. Linda had been scrubbing the counters like she could erase the day with disinfectant. The air tasted sharp, like bleach hiding something rotten. I looked at her, a calm on the outside. Inside, my thoughts moved like slow traffic in a snowstorm. A man can lose a job in an hour. He loses respect one small laugh at a time. Me. For the best for who? Linda. Don't start. I'm trying to be practical. Me. Practical doesn't usually sound like you're enjoying it. Linda. Oh, Frank, you're always so sensitive. Sensitive. That was her favorite label when she wanted to shrink me. She said it like a diagnosis, like dignity was a symptom. She turned away and walked back toward the kitchen. The scent of her vanilla lotion trailed behind her, mixed with that harsh cleaner. Sweet on top, chemical underneath, like a smile that's hiding teeth. I slid my phone back into my pocket and ended the recording without looking. My thumb stopped the red dot. I didn't want to get greedy. Greed makes noise. When I stepped into the kitchen, she was opening a Walmart bag on the counter. Inside were a few things I didn't remember asking for. Instant oatmeal, generic peanut butter, paper plates. Linda. Since you'll be home, you can handle breakfast now. Me. I've handled breakfast for decades. Linda. Not consistently. The TV murmured in the background. A smell of reheated coffee drifted from the pot, burnt and tired. I set my severance folder beside the sink. Linda didn't touch it. She didn't ask what was in it. She only cared what she could do with it. Me. Where's Caleb's drawing? Linda. What drawing? Me. The one on the fridge, from Thanksgiving. She paused. Then she opened the fridge and stared at the magnets like she'd never seen them. Linda. Oh, that old thing, I took it down. Me. Why? Linda. It's clutter, Frank. So it's paper. We're not running a daycare. That answer didn't match her tone. Linda loved that drawing last month. Now it was clutter. Dinner came fast, like the day wanted to be over. Linda made spaghetti in jar sauce, the kind she used when she didn't feel like trying. The garlic smell hit first, heavy and oily. Then a fake sweetness of basil that never touched a garden. We ate at the table where my box still sat. Her phone kept lighting up beside her plate. Each buzz felt like a private conversation I wasn't invited to. Linda. I told you this company was a dead end. Me. You said it was steady. Linda. It was, until it wasn't. That's life. Me. Life doesn't usually laugh at you. Linda. I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing at the situation. I held my fork and watched her eyes. She didn't blink. Oh, she believed her own rewrite. After dinner, she washed dishes loud, clanking plates like punctuation. I went to my office and pulled out the severance packet. The paper smelled like toner and the HR rep's perfume, sharp and floral. I read every line. Extended vesting window, 2 quarters, health coverage through Cobra, unused vacation payout, and my stock options, still alive if I moved before the new deadline. Linda thought layoff meant finished. HR thought I'd go quietly. Both were wrong. My phone rang. It was Ray from work, my old supervisor turned friend. Ray. Frank, you home? Me. Yeah. Ray. I heard. I'm sorry. Me. Appreciate it. Ray. You got time to consult? Me. Depends. Ray. Vendor needs someone who understands routing and contracts. 6 months. Maybe longer. I looked through the doorway. Linda was humming along to the TV, bright and careless. The smell of dish soap floated into the hall, clean and slippery. Me. Text me the details. Ray. You sure you're okay? Me. I'm still standing. That's enough for tonight. At 8:30, our daughter called. Megan. 42 years old, 3 kids, and a voice that had started sounding more like her mother each year. Megan. Dad, Mom told me. Me. Did she? Megan. Don't be mad, okay? Things happen. Me. I'm not mad. Megan. She said you might finally relax. Maybe this is a blessing. Blessing. A ribbon people tie on your pain so they don't have to hold it. Me. How's Caleb? Megan. Good. He misses you. We might come by Saturday. Me. I'd like that. Megan. Just don't make Mom's life hard right now. She's stressed. Me. Is she stressed? Or is she planning? Megan. Dad, please. Me. All right. Drive safe. I ended the call and stared at the framed award inside my box. 25 years of showing up early. Now my own family talked like I was an appliance that stopped working. Reflective line. A man's value shouldn't expire with his paycheck. Reflective line. If love needs a salary, it isn't love, it's rent. Reflective line. The loudest disrespect comes wrapped in, I'm just being practical. Linda stepped into the doorway, arms folded again. The cinnamon candle smell clung to her sweater. Linda. Megan says they might come Saturday. Me. Good. Linda. We need to talk before then. Me. About what? Linda. About the house. There it was. Not, are you okay? Just the house. She walked to the table and tapped the cardboard box like it offended her, and her nail made a hollow sound on the edge. Linda. We can't keep living like this. Me. Like what? Linda. Like we're pretending you're still that guy. That guy. The one she married. The one who paid off the minivan. The one who sat through school plays and clapped until his hands hurt. Quotable line. Some people don't leave you. They relocate their loyalty. Quotable line. Respect is the first bill a marriage stops paying. Quotable line. I wasn't afraid of losing work. I was afraid of losing my name. Linda took a breath and practiced kindness on her face. Linda. We should downsize, sell this place, move closer to my sister. Me. That's your solution? Linda. It's the smart one. We can start fresh. Start fresh. It smelled like lemon cleaner. It also smelled like someone trying to wipe me off the counter, as I kept my voice level. Me. And if I don't agree? Linda. Frank, don't be difficult. Her phone buzzed again. She glanced at it quick. Then she looked back at me with that thin smile. Linda. Because I'm not asking forever. Because I'm not asking forever. The light above the dining table flickered once, then steadied. It cast a pale yellow over Linda's face, sharpening the lines around her mouth. I'd changed that bulb myself last month. Funny what a man maintains. Me. That sounds less like a conversation. Linda. It's called being realistic. Me. Realistic about what? Linda. About you not working again. The word again landed heavy. Not right now, not soon. Just finished. Filed away. I leaned back in my chair and studied the ceiling fan. Its slow rotation chopped the light into moving shadows across the walls, whilst our wedding photo hung there, half in brightness, half in shade. Linda gathered plates and carried them to the sink. Her movements were quick, efficient, almost rehearsed, like she'd already practiced this future in her head. I went to my office without another word. The hallway felt longer than usual. The house quieter. Even the hardwood under my shoes sounded distant. I shut the door and turned on the desk lamp. Soft white light spilled across my paperwork. Paper doesn't flinch. It just waits to be read. I opened my laptop and logged into our retirement accounts. Usernames I'd created. Passwords I'd memorized years ago. Linda had never cared for the details. The numbers loaded slowly. 401k IRA rollover. Brokerage account with the company stock. The stock options were still there. Vesting extension confirmed. A deadline printed clearly in black. 2 quarters. I printed the confirmation page. The printer hummed steady, obedient. A machine doing its job without commentary. Then I opened the shared checking account history. Large withdrawals the past 3 months. Home staging consultations. Real estate photography deposit. My jaw tightened, but I didn't curse. Anger is loud. I needed quiet. I clicked on her email account. We'd shared passwords once, back when transparency felt romantic. There it was. Thread subject. Fresh start near Naperville. Donna had written, Donna, if you list before spring, you'll get top dollar. Linda, Frank doesn't see it yet, but he will. He will. Not we'll decide, not we're thinking. He will. I leaned back and let the desk chair roll slightly. The leather creaked under my weight. While this room smelled faintly of dust and old books. Reflective line. When someone plans your future without you, you're already being edited out. Reflective line. Silence isn't weakness, it's reconnaissance. My phone buzzed. Ray again. Ray. Vendor confirmed. They want you. Me. Send contract. Ray. 6 months minimum. Good pay. Flexible. Me. Appreciate it. Ray. Frank. You sure this is what you want? Me. It's what I need. Need isn't desperation. Need is alignment. I opened the email Ray sent and scanned the attached agreement. Consulting rate higher than my old hourly breakdown. Remote 3 days a week. On-site in Joliet twice monthly. My pulse stayed steady. This wasn't luck. It was timing. I printed that contract too. The light outside my window had faded into deep blue. Streetlights hummed on along the cul-de-sac, and our neighbor's dog barked twice, then settled. I heard Linda's voice in the living room again. Soft. Controlled. Linda. He's looking at paperwork. Pause. Linda. Yes. I know the house was his before. Pause. Linda. That's what I'm trying to fix. Fix. I didn't move toward the door this time. I didn't record either. One proof was enough for now. Instead, I reached down and unlocked the fireproof safe. The dial turned smooth under my fingers. Left. Right. Left again. Click, inside lay the deed to this house. Purchased 1998. Before Linda and I married. My name only. Stamped by Cook County Recorder's Office. Filed and sealed. A thin stack of authority. I pulled out a copy and placed it beside the consulting contract. Paper against paper. Past against future. Quotable line. You don't raise your voice when you hold the deed. Quotable line. Control isn't loud, it's documented. Quotable line. They thought I was outdated. I was just unread. I closed the safe and locked it again. Then I walked into the living room. Linda sat curled on the couch, scrolling. The TV showed a home renovation show, bright kitchens, smiling couples, fresh paint. Linda looked up. Linda, you're still up? Me, I live here. Linda, don't be dramatic. I sat across from her in my recliner. The leather felt cool under my palms. Distance measured in 8 feet and 20 years. Me, when were you going to tell me? Linda, tell you what? Me, about listing the house. She blinked once. Then she forced a laugh. Linda, I haven't listed anything. Me, consultations count. Linda, you went through my emails? Me, we share them. Her jaw tightened. Linda, I was exploring options. Me, options that remove me? Linda, options that protect me. There it was. Not us. Her. Me. From what? Linda, from instability, from watching you spiral. Spiral. I'd come home quiet. That was spiral. Me, you laughed. Linda, I was nervous. Me, it didn't sound like nerves. Linda, you're twisting this. The TV kept playing cheerful music behind us, before and after transformations, walls knocked down, new beginnings. Me, do you want to sell this house? Linda, yes. Me, even if I don't? Linda, Frank, be reasonable. Reasonable. The word felt colder than the room. I stood up slowly. Not me. I'll be reasonable. Linda, good. Me, but I won't be erased. She looked confused for a moment. Not angry. Not yet. Just unsure. Linda, what does that mean? Me, it means I'm reviewing everything. She crossed her arms. Linda, you're overreacting. Me, no. Pause. Me, I'm recalculating. The light from the TV flickered across her face again. Bright, then shadow. She picked up her phone and typed something fast. I didn't ask who it was for. I turned toward the hallway. Linda, Frank. Me, yes. Linda, we need to move forward. I paused. Me, forward only works if both people are walking. I left her there with the renovation show and her glowing screen. In my office, I placed the consulting contract on top of the deed copy. 2 pieces of paper that shifted weight back into my hands. My inbox pinged once more. When subject line, official offer, consulting agreement. I opened it and read the first sentence carefully. Effective immediately upon signature. I stared at that line longer than I expected. Effective immediately. For the first time since the layoff meeting, the room didn't feel smaller. Effective immediately. I signed the consulting agreement the next morning. The pen moved smooth across the paper. Ink settled into the fibers without hesitation. A small, controlled decision in a house that suddenly felt unstable. I scanned the signed contract and sent it back to Ray. Then I forwarded a copy to my personal attorney. Not dramatic, just documented. By noon, the house felt tighter, like the walls were listening. Linda moved around the kitchen in sharp patterns. Cabinets opened and shut with clipped force. What the smell of reheated coffee and toast hung in the air. She didn't ask what I was doing on the laptop. She didn't ask where I'd been on the phone. That silence told me she assumed I was drifting. Men who drift don't make plans. Around 3, Megan's SUV rolled into the driveway. I heard the crunch of tires before I saw them. Then the slam of a back door and a child's voice. Caleb burst through the front door like sunlight. Caleb. Grandpa! He wrapped his arms around my waist. His jacket smelled like school bus vinyl and apple juice. Honest smells. Simple things. Me. Hey, buddy. Caleb. Mom said you're home all the time now. I smiled at him. Me. Looks that way. Linda followed them in, voice sweet and loud. Linda. There's my favorite boys. Favorite boys, plural, careful language, and Megan stepped inside with a grocery bag from Target. Megan. Dad, you okay? Me. I'm steady. She studied my face like she was looking for cracks. I kept it smooth. Caleb ran toward the fridge. Caleb. Grandma, where's my picture? Linda froze for half a second. Linda. Which one, honey? Caleb. The one I made for Grandpa, the office one. Office one. I felt something shift under my ribs. Linda forced a smile. Linda. Oh, that old drawing. I put it away. Caleb's shoulders dropped. Caleb. But Grandpa didn't see the new part. New part. Me. What new part? He ran to his backpack and dug through crumpled worksheets. Pencils clattered onto the hardwood floor. He pulled out a folded sheet of paper and handed it to me. Crayon. Thick, uneven lines. Bright colors fighting for space. I unfolded it slowly. There I was, as drawn as a tall stick figure in a blue shirt. Sitting at a desk. A square labeled work above my head. Next to me stood Linda. Her hair colored bright yellow. Her arm extended. She was handing my chair to another stick figure. The other figure wore a red tie. Underneath, in messy green crayon, "Don't let them take your spot." The room felt brighter for a second, then too bright. Me. Who's this? I pointed to the red tie. Caleb shrugged. Caleb. The new guy. Me. What new guy? Caleb. Grandma said someone with more energy should sit there. Silence didn't fall. It thickened. Megan shifted her weight. Megan. Caleb, go wash your hands. Caleb. But. Megan. Now. He ran toward the bathroom, sneakers squeaking on tile. I kept holding the paper. Linda's voice came soft, careful. Linda. It's just a drawing. Frank. Me. Kids draw what they hear. Her jaw tightened. Linda. You're reading too much into it. Me. Am I? The crayon lines were uneven. The desk was crooked, but the message wasn't. Reflective line. Children don't invent betrayal. They repeat it. Reflective line. When your legacy is reduced to a chair, you learn who values your seat. Megan stepped closer. Megan. Dad. Mom was joking. Me. About what? Megan. About you maybe doing something different. Different didn't come with red ties. I looked at Linda. Me. Who were you talking about? Linda. No one. Me. Then why does he think someone's taking my spot? She folded her arms again. Defense position. Linda. You lost your job, Frank. It's not a secret. Me. Losing a job isn't losing a place. Linda. Sometimes it is. That sentence carried weight. There's not confusion, not fear, conviction. Megan exhaled sharply. Megan. Can we not do this in front of Caleb? Me. He already did it. I walked to the fridge and placed the drawing back under a magnet. right in the center, where it could be seen. The paper trembled slightly under the air vent. Caleb came back, wiping his hands on his jeans. Caleb, Grandpa, you like it? I crouched to his height. Me, I love it. Caleb, you're the boss in it. Me, I noticed. He grinned, missing one front tooth. Caleb, don't let them take it. Them, plural. I stood up slowly. Linda's eyes followed me. Me, who's them, Caleb? He looked confused. Caleb, Grandma and her friend. Megan, Caleb. He blinked, realizing he'd said too much. Caleb, I'm hungry. Megan led him toward the kitchen. Linda stayed rooted in place, while the house felt crowded, even though only 4 of us stood inside. Quotable line: sometimes the smallest voice tells the biggest truth. Quotable line: I wasn't afraid of another man. I was afraid of being replaced in my own story. Quotable line: respect isn't inherited, it's protected. Linda lowered her voice. Linda, you're making this bigger than it is. Me, you made it small first. Linda, I was trying to motivate you. Me, by handing my chair to someone else? Her face hardened. Linda, you've been stagnant. Me, I was employed. Linda, not progressing. Progress, like marriage was a corporate ladder. Megan reappeared from the kitchen. Megan, Dad, Mom's just worried. Me, about money? Megan hesitated. That pause was answer enough. Me, or about image? No one replied. I turned back to the drawing. The red tie was colored darker than the rest, pressed hard, almost tearing the paper. Me, when did he draw this? Caleb from the kitchen. After book club night. Book club, Donna's lake house, fresh start, more energy. The pieces slid into place quietly. Linda took a step toward me. Linda, it was a joke. Me, to who? Linda, Donna. Me, what did you say? She didn't answer immediately. That was enough. Me, did you say maybe it's time for a partner with ambition? Her eyes widened for a fraction of a second. Then she looked away. That fraction told me everything. The refrigerator hummed behind us, a steady mechanical sound, keeping things cold. I looked at the drawing one more time. Not childish, not random. Evidence, not legal, but emotional. And sometimes emotional evidence is what moves the case. And I walked back toward my office without raising my voice. Linda called after me. Linda, Frank, don't overreact. I didn't turn around. Me, I'm not reacting. I paused at the doorway. Me, I'm remembering. I'm not reacting. I'm remembering. That was what I told myself as I closed my office door. But remembering doesn't sit still. It walks around your house and measures every room like it's been sold already. Saturday came with gray skies and a wind that pushed dry leaves into little spinning circles. Megan's visit had ended, but Caleb's drawing stayed on the fridge, right where Linda had to see it every time she reached for creamer. She tried to ignore it. She walked wide around that part of the kitchen like the paper was hot. When she finally spoke, her voice was sugary. Oh, Linda, you really left that up. Me, Caleb made it. Linda, Caleb doesn't know what he's drawing. Me, kids know more than adults admit. She made herself busy, wiping already clean counters. The house felt smaller when she did that. Like she was polishing a stage for an audience I didn't know existed. I needed air, Not for drama, for distance. I drove to the Walgreens on Ogden Avenue to pick up my blood pressure refill. The parking lot was half full, a patchwork of SUVs and old sedans. A man in a Bears hoodie pushed a cart slowly, like time was optional. Inside, the store smelled like detergent, pharmacy alcohol wipes, and cheap perfume. Bright fluorescent lights flattened everything. No shadows, no privacy. I waited in line behind two people arguing about coupons. A teenage cashier blinked like a tired owl. But when my name was called, it sounded foreign. Pharmacist. Frank Delaney? Me. That's me. I took the white paper bag and felt the weight of it in my hand. Small. Necessary. A reminder that my body was aging even if my mind wasn't. On my way out, I spotted Martha Pike near the greeting cards. She lived 3 houses down, the kind of neighbor who knew everyone's business before the mail arrived. She was holding a stack of Hallmark cards and a Starbucks cup like they were accessories. Martha. Frank, honey, I heard about the layoff. Me. News travels fast. Martha. In a cul-de-sac? It travels on roller skates. She leaned in close. I could smell her peppermint gum and that expensive shampoo smell that follows women who never sweat. Her eyes flicked toward the pharmacy bag, then back to my face. Martha, you all right? Me. I'm upright. Martha. That's not what I meant. I didn't answer. I let the silence do the work. Martha's voice dropped to a whisper. Martha. Linda's been talking. Me. About what? Martha. About you being home. About changes. Me. Changes how? Martha glanced around like the detergent aisle had ears. Then she gave a small laugh that wasn't kind. Martha. She said she needs new energy in the house. The phrase hit me like a cold fingertip on the back of my neck. New energy. Donna's words. Linda's words. Caleb's red tie. Me. Where did she say that? Martha. Donna's book club, Tuesday night. Me. At Donna's place? Martha. They met at the Oak Brook Public Library this week. They're doing some author event. Library. Bright rooms, folding chairs, and women sipping iced coffee and judging lives between chapters. I kept my face calm, but my grip tightened on the pharmacy bag until the paper crinkled. Me. And what else? Martha. Frank. Me. Martha. She sighed like she was about to hand me something heavy. Martha. She joked that maybe it's time for a partner with ambition. There it was. Not a rumor now. A repeated line. My mouth went dry, not from the HR meeting this time. From humiliation that had been shared like entertainment. Quotable line. A private marriage dies in public jokes. Martha touched my arm, light and quick. Martha. I didn't laugh. Me. Did anyone? Martha. Donna did. A couple of them did. Linda smiled like she was proud of it. Proud. Reflective line. Some betrayals don't take your money first. They take your dignity. I nodded once, slow. Not me. Thank you. Martha. Don't thank me. Just don't let her bulldoze you. Bulldoze. That was the right verb. Linda didn't argue anymore. She moved earth. Outside, the wind slapped my face and carried the smell of gasoline from the road. I sat in my car and didn't start it for a full minute. Cars moved past like nothing had changed. My life had changed. The traffic didn't care. When I got home, Linda's car was gone. The house was quiet except for the refrigerator hum and the faint tick of the hallway clock. Caleb's drawing stared at me from the fridge, bright and blunt. I walked closer and studied the red tie again. The crayon was pressed so hard it had left grooves. A child had felt something sharp when he heard that joke. I opened my office drawer and pulled out my phone. I played the memo I'd recorded the night of my layoff, just to confirm my memory wasn't inventing things. Linda's voice filled the room. I told you he'd be out by spring. We just have to get him to agree to sell. The words sounded different now. Not panic, planning. I saved the file to a folder labeled Taxes 2025. Boring names hide loud truths. Then I called Ray. Ray. Frank, everything good? Me. You got a second? Ray. Always. Me. When does the vendor want me to start? Ray. Soon as you want. They're eager. Me. I want Monday. Ray. I'll set the onboarding call. Onboarding call. A phrase that sounded like a lifeboat. I hung up and stared at my desk. The deed copy sat beside the consulting contract, perfectly aligned. Two papers that turned fear into options. The front door opened at 5:30. Linda's heels clicked on the tile like a countdown, and she walked in with a tote bag and a forced smile. Linda, you've been out. Me. Errands. Linda, you didn't tell me. Me. I didn't know I needed permission. Her smile twitched. Linda. Frank, you're acting strange. Me. I'm acting aware. She set her tote down and glanced at the fridge, at the drawing, at the red tie. Linda. You're still hung up on that. Me. I spoke to Martha today. Her face shifted, quick as a shadow crossing a window. Not surprise. Recognition. Linda. Martha's a gossip. Me. She repeated your words. Linda. She twists everything. Me. Did you say you needed new energy? Linda's mouth opened, then closed. She chose her next line carefully. Linda. I said we need stability. Me. You said ambition. Linda. Frank. Me. To a room full of people. Her eyes sharpened. Linda. So what? Well, I'm not allowed to vent? Me. Venting doesn't include selling me for laughs. She stepped closer, lowering her voice like we were negotiating a contract. Linda. You're making me the villain. Me. You made me the joke. For a moment, neither of us spoke. The house held us in its quiet, every room waiting. Then my laptop pinged. A new email subject line flashed on the screen across the desk. Welcome aboard. Consulting onboarding confirmed. Monday 9 a.m. Central Standard Time. Welcome aboard. Consulting onboarding confirmed. Monday 9 a.m. Central Standard Time. The email glow warmed my face in the dim office. Outside, February air pressed against the windows like a cold palm. Inside, the heat kicked on and off, never settling, like the house couldn't decide whose side it was on. Linda read the subject line over my shoulder. Not the details, just the headline. Her breath hitched once, then smoothed out. Linda, what's that? Me. Work. Linda. I thought you were done. Me. That was your assumption. The furnace rattled. A dry heat rolled through the vents and made my eyes sting. I could feel it on my knuckles, tight and papery, the kind of heat that pretends to be comfort. Linda's voice sharpened, then softened again. Linda. Is it real? Me. It's signed. Linda. Who is it with? Me. A vendor Ray connected me with. Linda. So you went behind my back. I turned in my chair, slow, not defensive, just deliberate. Me. Behind your back would mean I owed you a warning. Linda. We're married. Me. Then act like it. Her cheeks flushed, but she held her posture. She wanted the argument loud. I kept it quiet. That weekend turned colder. You know, the kind of cold that bites through your coat and makes your teeth feel sensitive. On Sunday night, I laid out my clothes like I used to for early shifts. Flannel shirt, clean jeans, my good boots. I didn't tell Linda. I didn't need to. Monday morning came with a hard, clear sky. Frost clung to the mailbox and glittered under the streetlight. When I stepped onto the porch, the air grabbed my lungs and made me cough once. In the garage, my breath showed white for a second before fading. The cardboard box from the Layoff sat on a shelf now, pushed back like a shameful souvenir. I didn't throw it away. I wanted it close the way you keep an old scar in mind. At 8:55, I logged into the onboarding call from my office. The laptop fan hummed, hot against the cold window draft. A young coordinator named Tessa greeted me with bright efficiency. To Tessa. Frank Delaney? Great. We're excited to have you. Me. Morning. Tessa. We'll need your W-9 direct deposit and the notarized confidentiality agreement. Me. I can handle that. Notary. That word always calmed me. Because stamps don't care about feelings. After the call, I drove to a small UPS store near the strip mall by the highway. The bell over the door chimed, and warm air hit my face like a blanket. It smelled like cardboard, printer ink, and burnt coffee from a tiny machine in the corner. A man behind the counter wore a name tag that said Eddie. He pointed me toward a sign taped to the wall. Notary public available, $10 per signature. Eddie. You need a notary? Me. Yes. Eddie. ID and document, please. I handed him my driver's license and the confidentiality form. The paper felt cool, chose from the outside air, and edges stiff. Eddie stamped the document and signed his name with a practiced flourish. Notary public stamp. Edward J. Ruiz. Date. February 25th, 2026. He slid it back to me. Eddie. All set. Me. Appreciate it. Quotable line. A stamp is louder than a rumor. Back in the car, the heater blew steady now. Warm air filled my sleeves, loosened my shoulders. The tension in my neck eased one notch. I stopped by the bank next. Chase branch on the corner. Bright blue sign. Glass doors that whooshed open. Inside was too warm, almost sweaty, like money needed its own climate. I met with a financial advisor named Karen. Late 40s. Calm voice. No nonsense. Karen. You mentioned restructuring. Me. Yes. I want a clearer separation. Karen. Marital accounts versus individual assets. Me. Correct. And I want beneficiary designations reviewed. Her eyes lifted just a fraction. She didn't ask why. Professionals don't need the gossip. Karen printed statements and slid them across the desk. Karen. Your premarital property documentation is strong. Me. Good. Karen. Do you want a revocable trust discussed? Me. Not today, but soon. Reflective line. When someone tries to manage you, manage your paperwork first. Reflective line. Dignity isn't a speech. It's a boundary with signatures. By the time I got home, the sun had warmed the driveway enough to melt the frost. Water ran in thin lines toward the gutter. The day looked softer. I felt sharper. Linda was in the kitchen, wearing her robe, phone in hand. The smell of cinnamon oatmeal filled the air, sweet and clingy. She watched me enter like she was studying a stranger. Linda, you were gone. Me, I had appointments. Linda, what appointments? Me, work and banking. Her eyes narrowed. Linda, banking? Me, yes. She stepped closer, and I could feel the heat of the stove on my back. Warm, pressing, like pressure with a temperature. Linda, are you moving money? Me, I'm organizing. Linda, organizing for what? Me, for reality. She laughed once, but it didn't reach her eyes. Linda, you're punishing me. Me, no, I'm protecting myself. Her phone buzzed. She ignored it, which told me she was actually listening now. Linda, Megan says you've been tense. Me, Megan repeats what you tell her. Linda, don't drag her into this. Me, then stop using her as an echo. Linda's shoulders stiffened. Linda, so what's your plan? Frank? Me, my plan is to stop being managed. Linda, by me? Me, by anyone. I walked past her and pinned the notarized form on my office corkboard, right beside the deed copy and the consulting contract. A row of documents like a spine. Linda followed, standing in the doorway. Linda, you're making me feel unsafe in my own home. Me, you tried to sell my home out from under me. The heat clicked off, cold crept back in through the window seam, thin and sharp. Linda, I was trying to secure our future. Me, you were trying to secure yours. Linda, that's the same thing. Me, not when you laugh. She stared at the papers. Her eyes moved from the deed to the notary stamp to the contract. The color drained from her face. For the first time, she wasn't smiling. She was calculating. Linda, how much is that contract for? Me, enough. Linda, Frank, tell me. Me, no. She inhaled, slow, like she was tasting the word. Linda, you're shutting me out. Me, you shut me down first. Her hand trembled slightly as she reached for the deed copy. I placed my palm over it, gentle but firm. Me, don't. Linda, why are you doing this? Me, because you thought I'd fold. She pulled her hand back, eyes glossy with something that wasn't tears yet. Fear, maybe, or the shock of meeting a version of me she hadn't planned for. Linda, we need to talk tonight. Me, we will. Linda, and you're going to explain all of this. Me, I'm going to set terms. She blinked. Linda, terms? Me, that's what you do when someone tries to take your spot. Linda stood there a moment longer, then turned away, her phone already in her hand. This time, she didn't bother to hide the screen from me. Linda, Donna, I need to see you, today. She walked out, leaving a trail of warm perfume and cold panic. And I realized she finally noticed the change. Donna, I need to see you, today. The front door shut harder than necessary. The house trembled for half a second, then went still. Cold air slipped in through the crack and brushed my neck. I stood in my office and listened to her car reverse down the driveway. Gravel shifted. Engine faded. Silence returned like it owned the place. The house felt different now. Not smaller. Clearer. I walked into the kitchen and poured myself coffee. Fresh this time. Strong. Steam rose and curled into the quiet air. Caleb's drawing stared back at me from the fridge. The red tie. The crooked desk. Don't let them take your spot. I reached up and smoothed the corner where it had begun to curl. Paper is fragile. Meaning isn't. By Thursday, Megan had insisted on a family dinner. Let's just sit down and talk, she'd said. Translation. Let's manage Dad before this escalates. I agreed. Not because I needed mediation, because I wanted witnesses. Linda spent the afternoon cooking like presentation mattered again. Roast chicken. Green beans. Mashed potatoes whipped too smooth. The kitchen filled with rosemary and butter, warm and heavy. She wore the blue sweater I bought her 3 Christmases ago, the one she saves for photos. At 6:30, Megan's SUV rolled in. Headlights swept across the living room walls before cutting off. The porch light flicked on automatically, bright and clinical. Caleb burst inside first again. Oh, Caleb. Grandpa, did you start your new job? I knelt slightly. Me. I did. Caleb. Are you the boss? Me. I'm the one they call when they're stuck. He grinned like that made sense. Megan entered slower, scanning the room. Her husband, Tom, followed behind her, hands in his jacket pockets. Tom. Evening, Frank. Me. Good to see you. Linda moved toward the kitchen like a hostess in a commercial. Linda. Dinner's ready. We sat at the same table where my layoff box had once rested. Now it was clear, polished, neutral. Plates clinked softly. Forks scraped porcelain. The smell of chicken and pepper filled the space between us. Megan cleared her throat first. Megan. Dad, Mom says things have been tense. I took a sip of water before answering. Me. They have. Linda placed her napkin on her lap with careful precision. Linda. Frank's been moving money around, without talking to me. Me. I've been organizing assets. Linda. Assets we share. Me. Not all of them. Tom looked down at his plate. Megan. Dad, this house is both of yours. I kept my voice steady. Me. Actually, it isn't. Forks paused mid-air. Not dramatically. Just enough. Linda's jaw tightened. Linda. Frank. Me. The deed was filed in 1998, before we married. Megan. What does that mean? Me. It means legally, it's mine. Tom finally looked up. Tom. Are you sure? Me. County Court Record Number 2025-CV-11873 references the boundary update. It's clean, signed and notarized. Linda's face drained of color. Linda. You're bringing up court records at dinner? Me. You brought up selling it. The air felt thick, like humidity before a storm. Megan. Dad. Oh, nobody's forcing anything. Me. Caleb's drawing says otherwise. Caleb looked up from his mashed potatoes. Caleb. That's mine. Linda forced a smile. Linda. Honey, that was pretend. Me. Was it? I reached into my shirt pocket and placed my phone on the table. Screen down. Not playing anything. Just present. Linda's eyes flicked to it. Linda, what is that supposed to mean? Me. It means I listen. Megan's voice tightened. Megan. Dad, please don't turn this into some investigation. Me. It already was one. I just didn't know it. Quotable line. The moment you laugh at a man's fall, you reveal your position. Tom shifted in his chair. Tom. Frank, what do you want? Simple question. Heavy answer. Me. Respect. Linda. You have it. Me. No, I had a paycheck. Silence pressed in from all sides. A reflective line. If your worth is tied to income, love becomes a subscription. Linda leaned forward. Linda. You're being dramatic. I was worried. Me. You were joking. Linda. With friends. Me. About replacing me. Megan's voice rose slightly. Megan. No one's replacing you. Me. Then why did Caleb hear it? Caleb looked confused again, eyes moving between us. Tom cleared his throat. Tom. Maybe this is just miscommunication. I looked at him. Me. Did Megan tell you I signed a new contract? Tom blinked. Megan looked at her plate. Tom. No. Linda's head snapped toward me. Linda. You didn't tell them? Me. You didn't ask. Megan frowned. Megan. What contract? I reached into my folder beside the chair and pulled out a copy. Laid it flat on the table. Me. 6-month consulting agreement. While renewable. Tom leaned closer. Megan scanned the first page. Linda stayed still. Linda. How much? I held her gaze. Me. Enough. Her fingers tightened around her fork. Linda. You're hiding things. Me. I'm compartmentalizing. Quotable line. Control isn't shouting. It's knowing the numbers. Megan looked up at me, uncertainty replacing irritation. Megan. So you're working? Me. Yes. Tom. Remote? Me. 3 days, 2 on site. Caleb beamed. Caleb. See? Grandpa's the boss. Linda's shoulders dropped slightly. Just a fraction. Linda. Frank, why didn't you tell me? Me. Because the last time I told you something important, you laughed. That sentence hung between us. Linda swallowed. Linda. I was nervous. Me. You were relieved. She didn't argue that one. The kitchen clock ticked behind us. Slow. Relentless. Megan exhaled. Megan. Okay. So what now? I folded my hands on the table. Me. Now we stop pretending this was about downsizing. Linda. It was. Me. It was about control. Her eyes flashed. Linda. You think I'm some villain? Me. I think you miscalculated. Tom shifted again. Tom. What does that mean, Frank? I looked directly at Linda. Me. It means the house isn't for sale. Pause. Me. And neither am I. Linda opened her mouth to respond. Nothing came out. For the first time since the layoff, she didn't have a line ready. Her fork lowered slowly to the plate. Linda. We need to talk. Alone. We need to talk. Alone. Linda's voice wasn't sharp this time. It was thin, like fabric stretched too far. Megan gathered plates quietly, pretending not to listen. Tom helped Caleb into his jacket. No one made eye contact. Well, the front door shut behind them, softer than before. Their SUV pulled away, red taillights shrinking down the cul-de-sac. The house exhaled. Linda stood by the table, fingers pressed against the wood. The roast chicken smell still hung in the air, heavy and overcooked now. The warmth from the oven had faded, leaving behind a stale heat. She walked into the living room. I followed. The TV was off. No renovation shows. No background noise. Just the faint hum of the refrigerator in the distance. Linda sat on the couch, hands clasped tightly. Linda, you embarrassed me. Me. I clarified something. Linda, in front of our daughter. Me. You joked about me in front of strangers. She flinched slightly. Linda, that was different. Me. Explain how. She looked toward the dark window, and our reflections stared back at us instead of the night. Linda, I was scared. Me. Of what? Linda, of aging, of instability, of watching you fade. Fade. Me. I lost a job. Linda, you lost momentum. The words sounded rehearsed, like something she'd tested out at book club. Me. So you decided I needed replacing? Linda, I never said that. Me. Caleb heard it. She pressed her lips together. Linda, I joked that maybe I needed someone with ambition. Me. There it is. Linda, it wasn't literal. Me. It wasn't private either. Reflective line. A careless sentence can bruise deeper than a deliberate insult. She leaned back, staring at the ceiling. Linda, you've been the same for years, Frank. Me. Stable. Linda. Stagnant. That word again. So me. Stable built this house. Linda. Stable doesn't excite me anymore. There it was. Not money, not security. Excitement. Quotable line. Some people don't want safety. They want spectacle. Linda's eyes glossed, but no tears fell. Linda. I felt invisible. Me. So you made me disappear first? She shook her head. Linda. I felt like I was shrinking. Me. And you thought shrinking me would help? Silence settled between us, thick but not explosive. Linda. Donna said I deserved more. Me. Donna doesn't live here. Linda. Donna sees how other couples live. Me. And how do they live? Linda. They travel, they reinvent. They don't just exist. Exist. I looked around the room, the couch we picked together, the framed prom picture of Megan, the shelf lined with Caleb's crafts. Existence looked like memory. Me. You wanted a reset. Linda. Yes. Me. Without asking if I did. Linda. I thought you were afraid. Me. Of what? Linda. Of change. I let that settle. Me. I wasn't afraid of change. Pause. Me. I was afraid of being laughed at. Her shoulders dropped slightly. Linda. I didn't think it would hurt you like that. Me. You didn't think. She winced. Reflective line. Disrespect isn't always loud. Sometimes it's lazy. Linda leaned forward, elbows on her knees. Linda. I panicked, Frank. Me. About money? Linda. About time. I studied her face. Lines I'd seen for decades. New ones I hadn't noticed. Linda. I'm 63. I don't want to feel stuck. Me. So you tried to move the ground under me. She swallowed. But Linda. I never planned to leave you. Me. But you planned to pressure me. Linda. Yes. The honesty surprised both of us. Me. And if I'd folded? Linda. We would have sold. Moved near my sister. Started fresh. Me. Fresh for who? Linda. For us. I shook my head slowly. Me. You mean for you? Her silence confirmed it. The hallway clock ticked again. Steady. Measured. Linda. So what now? Me. Now we stop pretending this was small. Linda. And? Me. We get help. She blinked. Linda. Therapy? Me. Yes. Linda laughed once, but it wasn't dismissive this time. It was nervous. Linda. You hate therapy. Me. I hate disrespect more. Quotable line. Boundaries are cheaper than divorce. Linda rubbed her temples. Linda. And if I say no? Me. Then we separate finances completely. Pause. Me. And we reevaluate living arrangements. Her head snapped up. Linda. You'd throw me out? Me. I'd enforce ownership. The word ownership hung heavy. Linda. You'd really do that? Me. You thought I wouldn't. She looked down at her hands. Linda. You've changed. Me. No. Pause. Me. You just noticed. Silence again. But this one felt different, less sharp, more honest. Linda. I don't want a divorce. Me. Neither do I. Linda. I don't want to lose this house. Me. Then stop treating it like leverage. Her breathing slowed. Linda. I'll go to therapy. Me. And the jokes? Linda. They stop. Me. And Donna? Linda hesitated. Linda. I'll handle her. I stood up slowly. Me. This isn't punishment. Linda. It feels like it. Me. It's protection. She nodded once. Nodded. Hot Linda. I underestimated you. Me. Yes. No anger. Just fact. She looked toward the kitchen, where Caleb's drawing still hung. Linda. He shouldn't have heard that. Me. He shouldn't have needed to draw it. Her eyes finally filled. Linda. I'm sorry. It wasn't dramatic, no collapse, no shouting. Just a quiet apology in a room that had held too much noise lately. I walked to the fridge and looked at the drawing again. The red tie didn't look threatening anymore. It looked childish. Me. We'll see if sorry turns into different. Linda stood behind me. Linda. When's the therapy appointment? Me. I'll call tomorrow. She nodded again. And for the first time since the layoff, she wasn't calculating. She was listening. I'll call tomorrow. Linda said it like a promise she wasn't sure she deserved to make. But the next week moved differently. Not lighter, just structured. Structure has a sound. Papers aligning, drawers closing properly, doors shutting without force. I found a therapist in Naperville with solid reviews and 30 years of practice. Dr. Harold Stein, licensed marriage and family therapist. His office sat above a dental clinic in a brick building that smelled faintly of antiseptic and carpet cleaner. Our first session was on a Tuesday at 4. The waiting room had soft jazz playing low through hidden speakers. Diplomas framed in dark wood lined the walls. A diffuser hummed quietly, releasing lavender into the air. Linda sat beside me, hands folded tight in her lap. No phone, no scrolling. Dr. Stein opened the door himself. Dr. Stein. Frank, Linda, come in. His office felt neutral. 2 armchairs angled toward each other, but a box of tissues on a side table that had seen decades of tears. We sat. Dr. Stein folded his hands. Dr. Stein. Why are you here? Linda glanced at me. I answered. Me. Because laughter did more damage than a layoff. Dr. Stein nodded slowly. Dr. Stein. Explain. So I did. I described the box on the passenger seat, the sound of the garage door, her laugh in the kitchen. I described Caleb's drawing. I didn't raise my voice once. Linda spoke after me. Linda. I panicked. Dr. Stein. About? Linda. Aging, losing security, feeling stuck. Dr. Stein leaned back slightly. Dr. Stein. And you expressed that how? Linda hesitated. Linda. Poorly. Dr. Stein looked at me. Dr. Stein. What did the laughter mean to you? Me. That I was already being replaced. The word hung between us. Dr. Stein nodded again. Dr. Stein. Frank, what did you do instead of reacting? Me. I organized. Dr. Stein. Financially? Me. Yes. Linda shifted in her seat. Linda. He moved money. Me. I protected premarital assets. Dr. Stein. Was that within your legal rights? Me. Yes. Dr. Stein's tone remained steady. Dr. Stein. Protection often follows perceived threat. Reflective line. Fear builds walls. Respect builds doors. We went back and forth for nearly an hour. No shouting. No dramatic tears. Just facts. When we left the office, the sun had dipped low, casting long shadows across the parking lot. Cold wind swept across the pavement and tugged at Linda's coat. She spoke quietly. Linda. He didn't take your side. Me. He took the truth's side. Linda. I didn't realize how much it hurt you. Me. That's the point. Therapy continued weekly. Sean at home, the atmosphere shifted in small, measurable ways. Linda stopped mentioning downsizing. She removed herself from the Oak Brook Book Club. Donna called twice. Linda let it ring. My consulting work picked up pace. Vendor meetings in Joliet twice a month. Conference calls 3 mornings a week. Invoices sent and paid on time. The first direct deposit hit my personal account on March 15th. The notification popped up while I was in my office. Amount, $12,400. I stared at it for a moment. Not because of the money, because of what it represented. Control. Quotable line. Income restores more than finances. It restores posture. That evening, Linda walked into my office without knocking. Linda. You got paid? Me. Yes. Linda. Are we okay? The question was fragile. Shot me. Financially? Linda. Emotionally. I considered that carefully. Me. We're stabilizing. Linda. That's not the same as okay. No, it wasn't. Caleb visited again that weekend. He ran straight to the fridge. Caleb. You kept it. He meant the drawing. Me. Of course. Linda stood beside him this time. Linda. We're keeping it up for a while. Caleb. Good. Grandpa's still the boss. Linda looked at me when he said that. Not defensive. Not threatened. Just aware. Megan came into the kitchen with a cautious smile. Megan. Mom says you're seeing someone. Me. A therapist. Megan. Together? Me. Yes. Megan exhaled in relief. Megan. That's good. Me. It's necessary. Later that evening, Linda and I sat on the back patio. The air had softened with early spring, cool but not biting. The faint smell of charcoal drifted from a neighbor grilling too early in the season. Linda sipped tea quietly. Linda, I was wrong. Me. About? Linda. Thinking your value was tied to a title. I nodded once. Linda. I didn't marry you for ambition. Me. No. Linda. I married you because you were steady. There it was again. Steady. Linda. Somewhere along the way, I mistook steady for stuck. Reflective line. Stability only feels boring to someone who's never lost it. She reached across the small patio table. Not dramatic, just deliberate. Linda. I don't want to control you. Me. Then don't. Linda. I want partnership. Me. That requires respect. She nodded. Linda. I'm trying. Trying wasn't perfection, but it was movement. Inside, the fridge door opened and closed as Caleb searched for dessert, while his laughter echoed faintly through the kitchen. It didn't sound dismissive. It sounded safe. I leaned back in my chair and watched the sky darken. The power shift wasn't loud. It wasn't explosive. It was measured. And for the first time in months, Linda wasn't strategizing. She was adjusting. She was adjusting. Not perfectly. Not overnight. But visibly, spring settled over our cul-de-sac in slow layers. The maple trees budded first, small green fists opening against a pale sky. Lawnmowers returned on Saturday mornings, steady and predictable. Predictable used to scare Linda. Now it felt like oxygen. My consulting contract rolled into its second month without friction. Invoices cleared. Meetings sharpened my focus. Younger managers called me sir, without irony. One afternoon in Joliet, after a 4-hour logistics review, while a project lead pulled me aside. Project lead. Frank, we'd like to extend you another 6 months. Me. Send it over. Project lead. You've got presence if the team listens. Presence. Not ambition. Not energy. Presence. On the drive home, sunlight spilled across the highway in long gold bands. I rolled the window down slightly and let the wind move through the car. Not to escape anything, just to feel movement. When I walked in that evening, Linda was at the kitchen island with papers spread out. Not real estate brochures. A printed article on long-term retirement planning. 2 brochures from community volunteer programs. A legal pad filled with her handwriting. She looked up. Linda. How was it? Me. Productive. Linda. They keeping you? Me. They're extending. Her shoulders relaxed. Linda. Good. No jealousy. No performance. Just good. She tapped the legal pad. Linda. I've been thinking. Me. That can be dangerous. She smiled faintly. Linda. Not like before. I sat across from her. Linda. I want to contribute differently. Me. Meaning? Linda. Volunteering. Maybe part-time work. Something that's mine. That word again. Mine. Not new energy. Not replacement. Identity. Me. That sounds reasonable. Linda. You're not threatened? Me. Why would I be? She studied my face. Linda. Because I was. Honesty had become less painful. That weekend, Megan invited us to Caleb's Little League game, a dusty field behind the elementary school, bleachers that creaked under shifting weight, the smell of popcorn and sunscreen mixing in the warm air. Linda sat beside me, hands folded in her lap. Caleb spotted us from the field. Caleb, "Grandpa, Grandma!" He waved like we were royalty. I waved back. Linda leaned closer. Linda, he kept the drawing in his room too. Me, good. Linda, he told his teacher you're a consultant now. Me, that sounds official. Linda, he said you fix grown-up problems. I smiled at that. Quotable line, a child's version of you is the purest one. After the game, Caleb ran up holding a small plastic trophy. Caleb, "Grandpa, I didn't let them take my spot." He said it proudly, not knowing the weight of the phrase. Linda knelt beside him. Linda, and nobody's taking Grandpa's spot either. She looked at me when she said it. Not defensive, not strategic, clear. That night, back home, I walked into my office one more time. The deed copy was still pinned to the corkboard, the consulting contract beside it, and the notarized form with Edward J. Ruiz's stamp, slightly faded at the edges. I didn't remove them. They weren't weapons anymore. They were reminders. Reflective line, power isn't revenge, it's self-respect maintained. Linda appeared in the doorway. Linda, you keeping those up forever? Me, probably. Linda, why? Me, because I don't forget lessons. She stepped inside. Linda, I don't want to be your lesson. Me, then be my partner. She nodded slowly. Linda, I am trying. Me, I see that. We stood there in the quiet office, the late evening light turning everything amber. Linda, I never wanted someone else in your chair. Me, you entertained the idea. Linda, I entertained fear. That felt accurate. I walked into the kitchen and looked at Caleb's drawing on the fridge one last time that night. Well, the red tie didn't look threatening anymore. It looked irrelevant. I turned to Linda. Me, you know what changed everything? Linda, the contract? Me, no. I tapped the drawing. Me, this. She studied it differently now. Linda, it was a warning. Me, it was a mirror. The garage door outside rumbled as a neighbor came home. The sound echoed through the evening air. I thought back to the day mine had opened slower than usual. The cardboard box. The laugh. I didn't feel that freeze anymore. Just clarity, me. I didn't lose my job that day. Linda listened. Me. I lost the illusion that I needed approval to stay seated. She didn't argue. She reached for my hand instead. And this time, it wasn't to steady herself. It was to stand beside me. If this story struck a chord, hit like, subscribe, and tell me what you think in the comments.